So there's a conversation we've all seen happen 1,000 times. A TCG Exclusive archetype gets its second wave of support, and it's a little, well, to be nice, underwhelming. Person A starts complaining that it's unplayable trash. Person B starts going on about how if a card doesn't give you 1,000,000 negates through 5-hand traps, then everyone will dismiss it. Then another person says that, yes, that is actually what you need in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! To be relevant. At this point, this whole exchange is just incredibly tired, and so seeing it happen all over again with Ghoti is just, ugh. Do I wish Konami would make their TCG exclusive decks a bit better? Yes, of course. But it's clear at this point that they're trying to make decks with alternative playstyles their exclusives. Battle phase stuff for Warrocks, banishes upon banishes for Ghoti. They just want to make decks with win conditions that aren't negates. It's just that sadly, those win conditions are never really as good as just setting up floodgates and negates. So how does this apply to Ghoti's second wave of support? To quickly go through the usual questions, is it the next meta threat? No. But is this new support unplayable garbage? Also no. In fact, it's actually pretty good at doing what they do best, which is banish, banish, banish. Let's take a look at it. First up, the most important new card in this support is Arion Post, Serpent of the Ghoti. It has 2 effects, which both tie into a different new card, so it really ties the whole deck together into something that makes sense. First of all, when synchro summoned, it lets you banish a level 6 or lower fish from your deck. On your turn, you could always banish one of your old tuners to get it back next turn, but the better choice is to make this on your opponent's turn and banish Zep, Ruby of the Ghoti. This new tuner is different to the old ones because it special summons itself immediately when banished instead of waiting a turn, but only if banished during your opponent's turn, aka with Arion Post. Then, when special summoned, it immediately triggers a synchro summon of a fish, bringing us straight back to the Serpent. When Arion Post is used as a synchro material, it lets you banish a fish from your graveyard, which includes itself, and then add a fish from your deck to your hand with an equal or lower level, so usually a level 6 or lower. Now, yes, you could try some weird combos to search a Coelacanth with this effect, but since you'll likely need to use a Coelacanth to pull it off in the first place, it's really just not worth it. Instead, you'll probably search Snowpioth, Shadow of the Ghoti. That's because, as a quick effect, it can banish 2 fish from your hand or graveyard to special summon itself. When you do, you can target a card on the field and make it become banished when it leaves the field. It's not the strongest form of disruption, but if you know how your opponent's deck works, you can really mess with some of their combos by making an important material get banished instead of going to the graveyard. Plus it's another level 6 on the field, so if you have another tuner ready to go, you'll be able to make something like a white or a whale. It even recycles itself when banished by banishing another fish, so you'll get to see this card a lot once it's in rotation. So these cards give the deck a nice little combo, but that's not all they got. Exceep, Omen of the Ghoti is a great extender, summoning itself from the hand as soon as another fish is banished. This makes the field spell even better, essentially guaranteeing you some more field presence, and it being a level 4 is great since it makes Arion Post together with any of the tuners. Oh, by the way, this card allows you to recycle your Ghoti traps. So, Ghoti Chain then? Well, they got 2 more traps as well. They're pretty divisive, with a lot of people wondering if you should ever really run them, but the truth is they're fine at once each since they're searchable by Enoch. More on him later, since he's actually very playable now. To quickly sum up the traps, if you activate Ghoti Cosmos with 4 banished fish, your fish effects become spell speed 4 for the rest of the turn. So remember that massive field wipe from Deep Beyond? You can now threaten that no matter how many negates your opponent builds, forcing them to instead take apart your board instead of building their own. But it will also make them immune to battle destruction, so that's a little bit harder than it would usually be. It could technically also synchro summon a Deep Beyond straight from your extra deck, but honestly, having 8 banished fish doesn't really seem very realistic by turn 2. Then we have Ghoti Fury, which just banishes a fish and an opponent's monster for a turn. It's simple interruption, but it can trigger both Zep and Snowpioth if those are on the field, and it is continuous, so you can keep messing with your opponent's combos thanks to this. That and the attack boost they give could just be enough to ATK. So I also mentioned that you can search these with Enoch, right? But nobody plays Ionok, so why should you? Well, the answer to that is in a card that everyone seems to think is complete trash, but surprise surprise, they're wrong. I'm of course talking about Ghoti, Spear of the Ghoti. Now yes, it has a battle phase effect and everyone hates the battle phase, war rocks were a mistake, whatever, we get it. Ignore that effect, unless your opponent has something you can't out without a non-targeting banish. Its real effect is that, on your opponent's standby phase, it can summon back both of the materials used for its Synchro Summon. Now why does this matter? Well, because it has amazing synergy with basically everything in the deck. Going back to Ionok for a second, besides searching a trap by banishing something, which you should do to grab one of their traps since they're all useful at times, it also special summons a low-level banished fish on summon. So get this out, use its effect to grab a banished tuner, search a trap, and then Synchro Summon into Ghoti. Now next turn, Ghoti brings back Ionok and a tuner. All the tuners need to be special summoned on your opponent's turn for their quick effects to be live, so you not only made that effect live, but you also gave yourself a level 6 body as a material to synchro with. Plus, you get around the fact that Ionok summons them with their effects negated, but Ghoti doesn't. Even better is that you just summoned Ionok again, which means it's getting its special summon effect again, giving you yet another material to use for a synchro summon. All this adds up to just a massive plus. Not only was you getting a trap, but 3 bodies on the field, including a quick effect synchro summon ready to go. It's actually really good, and gives you a lot more options going first to set up your plays on your opponent's turn. So all in all, we get a deck that, sure, doesn't really set up a ton of negations, but that does easily set up a bunch of pretty powerful interruptions, with banishing still being a strong effect these days. With all of the new support introduced properly, now let's take a look at the deck. Here's what I've got for you, starting with the Ghoti cards. Run an Ionok for the trap searching and combos that I was just talking about. 1 is enough since you'll probably want to grab it with the field spell. Then run 2 or 3 Snowpios. 2 is fine, but you might want a 3rd one in case you're actually trying to use it as a hand trap. Then 3 Zep, Paces and Ixeep, and then 2 or 3 Shift. I run less Shift because we'll usually send it with Lifeless Leaf Fish, so also having it in your hand is a bit pointless. We then run 3 Beautiful Princess to go into that Lifeless Leaf Fish combo, which also sets up Arion Poss by itself. Our other good extender is Abyss Shark, who is usually a free special summon, and searches Ixeep, who'll be an easy special summon as well. You could also search anything else, including Lifeless Leaf Fish if you started with a Paces on the field, since that can then banish itself to summon that Leaf Fish, setting up both quick effect tuners. Lastly, you have a choice between White Stingray or Piri-Reis map. White Stingray is nice since it's a level 4, an extender, and gets a fish into the graveyard to later banish with other cards. I like it, but Piri-Reis map is definitely a great contender as well. It searches either Beautiful Princess or Paces, both of which are good starters for the deck. You could also replace Moray of Avarice with Piri-Reis, since that card, while good, is a bit more high rolly and less of a guaranteed start to your combos. One thing's for sure though is that you'll want 4 copies of the field spell, which only got more useful with the support. For the traps it's really up to you, but I went for 2 Chain and then 1 of each of the others. I'll usually search Fury if I just want a simple interruption, or Cosmos if I know that I can banish 4 pretty easily. Chain is usually better if you just draw it, but it can be quite useful by itself as well. Finally, since the deck needs a little bit of help being unfair, run 3 Rivalry, since you only really play fish monsters anyway. Extra deck time. Run 2 of each Ghoti since there's a pretty good chance you'll need them all more than once. Then for some extra fish synchros to potentially summon, run White Aura Whale for its on-summon Mirror Force, and then Behemoth and Archetype just because you can. Bahun and Chenying are also possible to make in this deck, but you'll usually just stick to the fish, especially if you have Rivalry out. Then run an Abyss Keeper or 2. It's great both at getting high-level Ghoti monsters out, especially Ionok, and it even has a banish effect that works super well with this deck. Finally, Bahamut Shark into Toad and Abyss Dweller are just some good cards you can potentially make, especially with Abyss Dweller's effect lingering even if the card itself gets banished by Deep Beyond. And so that's the deck. Now let's look at some of its combos. Let's start with the 1-card Lifeless Leaf Fish combo. But before that, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel if you've enjoyed this video so far. So to do this, you'll want to summon the lifeless leaf fish and use it to dump Shift to the graveyard. Shift can now banish itself, powering up leaf fish. That's all for this turn, but Shift will be ready to summon itself in the standby phase next turn. Wait for your opponent to have a card worth banishing, and then when they do, quick synchro into Arionpos, who'll banish Zep. That summons itself and then synchros into Ascan, banishing itself and the opponent's card. We can even chain block it with Arionpos's effect, who'll banish itself to search a Snopios. When banished, Ascan will banish something else to bring itself back, and then Snopios, on demand, can banish 2 more fish in order to make something banished when it leaves the field, potentially ruining your opponent's combos even further. Don't forget that you can also do this combo with a Beautiful Princess, which can be searched by Piri-Reis map if you play that. That's about it for one card combos, with this deck mostly being about adapting to what you draw. Here we'll start with the field spell banishing Paces, searching Eonok and also triggering Ixeep, while of course getting the Paces ready for next turn. Abyss Shark has a target now, so we summon it and search Leaf Fish. We summon that, send a Shift and then banish it for next turn. Now we can make an Abyss Keeper and use it to summon Eonok, who brings back Paces. Banish Ixeep to search a trap for extra interruption, set your traps and then make a Gyoglim before ending your turn. On their turn, use Rivalry, then Gyoglim's effect to get the materials back, readying Paces while also getting back the Ixeep. Shift will also summon itself back, and then synchro into Arionpos, doing the usual synchro climbing line. That means that we also get to use Zep's effect, and get out a Snopios, banishing 2 more fish. At this point it's up to us to manage our interruptions, because we can either use Deep Beyond but then lose out on Rivalry, or just Mirror Force them with the Whale. Either way, we also have the trap's Disruption, as well as its attack boost to 80k next turn. Here's a Tuna combo. Summon her, then banish to go into Leaf Fish, which lets you send a Shift as well as triggering Ixeep. Abyss Shark can now summon itself and search a white Stingray to discard our second Tuna. Shift banishes for next turn, and also we can use our level 4s for a Bahamut Shark into a Toad. We make the rest into an Abyss Keeper and leave the Leaf Fish to be able to synchro summon next turn with Shift. Now when your opponent activates something, you can negate with Toad, while also adding back Abyss Shark for next turn. When they extend further, you'll be able to start climbing with Arionpos into Ascan, banishing a card, while also getting Snopios into your hand. When that's there, you'll get 2 more banishes of your own fish, setting up the trap if you need it, but also making one of their materials get banished when it leaves the field. This leaves you with a ton of follow-up for next turn, with Abyss Shark ready to go on top of Abyss Keeper's banish and the trap making them unrespondable. For this last one, we'll be doing things a bit differently. We'll be starting by searching the field spell, and then banishing Zep with that to search an Eonok. That will trigger the Ixeep to summon itself, and we can also normal summon Paces and use it to get out our Eonok. That will bring back Zep, and then we can banish Eonok to search Cosmos. Set both traps, summon a Serpent, and use it to banish Shift. You now have both tuners ready to summon in the standby phase. When you want to banish something, you can do the same combo as last replay, getting out an Ascan for a banish, and then immediately summoning it back, while Arionpos searches a Snopios. This time though, we have a ton of other options as well. When we summon Snopios, we can use the Zep in the graveyard as a cost, which means it will summon itself. We also have 4 banished fish, so it's a great time to use Cosmos to make everything unreactable from now on. By making a Whale, we can Mirror Force the opponent, before using Chain to get out an Eonok to bring back the Paces for next turn. Or if your opponent still manages to build a board after this, we can also go for the unnegatable board wipe, deleting everything they control from the field, and then easily assembling lethal next turn. And so that's the deck. Do you prefer playing them pure like this, or will you stick to the previous Coelacanth combos? Tell me in the comments below, and while you're down there, don't forget to like and subscribe. Special thanks to my tier 3 patron, Distran. The link to that is in the description. Thanks for watching!